Hey everyone, we'll get going in a few minutes. In the meantime, I'll show you the sunset. Sunrise. Well, welcome everyone to Morning Flow. My name is Mark Cormier. If you have any comments or questions or would like to see a particular pose, certainly feel free to put a comment in the comment section. So let's get going. Coming to the top of your yoga space. Finding your feet, either working a narrow stance to challenge your balance, and that would be big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Of course, you can always work it wider for more foundation, and you can always change that as we move through our practice this morning. Relax shoulders. I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart. A light press of your thumb against your sternum as we line up each finger. Starting our practice this morning, just watching as our breath flows in and as our breath flows out. Arriving here on our yoga mats in our yoga space, ready for a morning yoga practice. From this place of just watching your breath, I'll invite you to shape your breath as you find a long, slow inhalation, matched by a long, slow exhalation. As you breathe in, I'll invite you to find a full body breath, bringing the air to the top of the chest, the base of the belly, filling up each side waist, filling up both front and back planes of your body. As you breathe out, I'll encourage you to draw the low belly in and up, concurrently drawing the kidneys in and up, almost like squeezing a tube of toothpaste from all sides, squeezing a little more air out, and also providing structural support for our body as we move through these shapes, as we move through these sequences. To this deeper, fuller breath, I'll invite you to move towards the Ujjayi or ocean breath, a go-to breath in many flow practices, a slight constriction of the base of the throat to add a slight sound and feel to your breath. And as we flow through our practice this morning, letting the sound and feel of your breath be a focus for your practice. Often compared to the sound of the ocean as the waves wash in and as the waves wash out. To this Ujjayi or ocean breath, I'll invite you to find Jiva Bandha, tip of the tongue to the hard palate, just behind the teeth, trying to keep that tongue to hard palate connection throughout the practice, keeping our jaws relaxed and connecting front and back planes of our body. And finally, with your lips closed, adding a slight smile to your face, a Mona Lisa smile, opening up the front of your throat so your breath has lots of room to circulate, refresh, and revitalize. Keeping all this, hands by our side. Warming up our shoulders, keeping it simple as we inhale the arms up and over the head. Exhaling arms down. 2 more times like this. Inhaling arms up. Exhaling arms down. 1 more time. Inhaling arms up, just observing the natural rhythm of the shoulders as the shoulders and arms go up. And the arms and shoulders come down. Adding a forward fold. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length as we arc the back. On the exhale, rounding the spine as we fold again. Inhaling, neutral spine, back of the head in line with the sacrum, hinging on up. On the exhale, standing tall. 2 more times like this. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length as we arc. Exhaling, arching as we fold. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. 1 more to go here. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, folding. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding again. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. So Namaskar A, with or without vinyasa. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. And then on the exhale, we have a choice, either finding your down dog and holding, or cycling through yoga push-up. Inhaling into cobra or up dog. And then exhaling back to your down dog and holding. As we hold down dog, I'll invite you to bring your attention to your hands. Lots of space between each finger. Grounding down a little more predominantly between the thumb and the forefinger as we draw the energy of the inseams of the arms. Shoulders engaged, either keeping your neck relaxed and your head super heavy, or lengthening through all sides of the neck as you look back towards your neck. From down dog, long smooth breath in. Long smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step, or maybe take a jump to the front of your mat. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, fold. On the inhale, hands over head pose. On the exhale, standing tall. Second one, much like the first. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, back to down dog, as you will. Either cycling through vinyasa, or just stretching straight back. And welcome, Kathy. As we hold down dog, I'll invite you to bring your attention to the base of your throat. From that place, listening and feeling as your Ujjayi breath flows in and as your Ujjayi breath flows out. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you mindfully make your way to the front of your mat. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, folding again. On the inhale, rising on up, hands overhead. On the exhale, standing tall. Let's do one more for good measure. Inhaling up. Exhaling, finding your forward fold. Inhaling, finding length as you look up. And then on the exhale, grounding on down, either finding your down dog and holding, or cycling through vinyasa as you find yoga push-up. Inhaling into yoga back bend, and then exhaling back to your down dog. As we hold down dog, breathing, watching that breath, and enjoying that reflection upon your breath. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take a jump to the front of your mat. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. Exhaling, folding. Inhaling, rising on up, leading with the back of the heart. On the exhale, standing tall. Surya Namaskar B. Let your inhale bring you into a chair pose, knees over toes, hands over head. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up, glutes engaged to support a back bend at the top. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length as you arc the back. On the exhale, grounding on down, either finding your down dog and holding, or cycling through vinyasa as you find yoga push-up. Inhaling into yoga back bend, and then exhaling back to down dog. From down dog, flow style, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, finding a three-legged dog, right leg high to the sky. High on the left toes. Now looking between the hands, sweeping that right foot on through, spinning the back heel down, finding your warrior one, arms up and over the head. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge as we spin the back heel up, and then back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. From down dog, second side when you're ready. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart, left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Looking between the hands, sweeping that left foot on through, spinning the right heel down, arms up and over the head. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge, and from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will. Deep, full breaths. As we hold down dog, coming back to an even breath, and watching that breath as it flows in and out. Always feeling free to stay wherever you are. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, folding again. On the inhale, stay low. We'll come back to our chair pose. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up, glutes engaged to support a back bend at the top. On the exhale, neutral spine, hands by our side. Let's add a hip opening sequence into the mix. Inhaling into your chair. Exhaling, taking it lower. Inhaling, rising on up. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, folding again, and back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. Let your breath make the call. From down dog, flow style, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, right leg high to the sky for the three-legged dog. High on the left toes, keeping that right shoulder down, stacking the hips, lifted legs straight. Now bending that top leg, opening up that hip. And then looking between the hands, sweeping that right foot on through, spinning the back heel down, finding your warrior one, arms up and over the head. And then on the exhale, riding the breath down, finding your down dog. And again, take your time, find your flow. From down dog, second side, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Keeping that left shoulder down, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that top leg, opening up that hip. And then looking between the hands as you sweep that left foot on through. Finding your warrior one, spinning that right heel down, arms up and over the head. And then riding the exhale back to low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. Always finding that balance between your effort and your ease. From down dog, long smooth breath in, long smooth breath out. Tail end of a breath, looking between the hands as you mindfully make your way to the front of your mat. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, folding. On the inhale, coming back to our chair, knees over toes, hands overhead. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up, glutes engaged to support a back bend at the top. On the exhale, neutral spine. I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart. A light press of your palms as your weight gathers in your feet. Relax shoulders, a slight tuck of the chin as we bring our attention back inward. From here, hands find the hips as we step or jump our feet hip width apart. On the inhale, we'll bring the arms out to the side. On the exhale, bending the knees, crossing the hands in front. I'll invite you to give your wrists a little flick. And then switching the cross. And let's do 6 of these. We're halfway done. Last 2 each way. 1 more each side. And then back up. And hands by our side. Shifting weight to the right, hands find the hips as we angle the right toes out just a tad. Moving towards a standing half lotus as we bend the right knee. We're going to bring left ankle on top of the thigh. And we'll sit down in our invisible chair. Hands either stay on the hips or hands find the heart. Hands either stay on the heart or we stretch those hands high to the sky. High hands come back to the heart. Hard hands come back to the hips. We straighten the right leg, we lift this left thigh high, the toe points down for the flamingo. Either staying here or leaning a little bit forward as we lengthen through that leg. Lifting that leg just a tad higher. And then flexing the foot, we're going to sweep that foot on through as we find our warrior one prep, hands stay on the hips. Finding heel to heel alignment. With our hands on our hips, we can square our hips front. 4 fingers find the tip of the thumb. We can stretch out the back of our wrists as we try to touch the front of our wrists. Bringing those bird beaks onto our shoulders, relaxing our shoulders and squaring the heart front. Now finding a clasp of the fingers and bringing those clasped fingers behind the head, pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat. And then I'll invite you to stretch those hands high to the sky. From here, straightening the front leg as we gather up the energy. Exhaling, finding cactus arms as we offer it out. And let's do that a few times. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. We're halfway done here. Breathing in, breathing out. Last 2. Breathing in, breathing out. Last 1. Breathing in, breathing out in, holding. Elbows move back, the hands come with. Feel free to ripple those fingers. Go for it. Now turning warrior 1 into warrior 2, as hands find the heart. We open up the hips to face the side. We can kick the back foot in for heel to arch alignment, and then finding one long arm, looking out over those front fingers with a steady yet relaxed gaze. From here, painting rainbows. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. We're halfway done. Breathing in, breathing out. Last two. Breathing in, breathing out. Last one. We're going to hold as we reach up a little higher. Back hand goes down a little further. Feel free to ripple those fingers. Go for it. And then back to our warrior 2. From here, finding a rainbow warrior, that clasp of the fingers behind the back, shoulder blades back and down on the rib shelf, and then leading with the heart as we take a forward fold inside the front leg. Shoulders dropping back towards the hips as we relax the neck. And heavy the head. Deep, full breaths. Those of you that found the forward fold in the rainbow warrior, I'll suggest a tuck of the chin as you bring it on up. Lifting the chin tall to the crown as we come back to our warrior 2, one long arm. From here, transitioning to Trikonasana, thumb and forefinger find crease of hip and base of rib. Straightening that front leg without locking the knee as we move towards triangle pose. Grounding that bottom hand down in an appropriate place. Using that left hand to open up left shoulder, and then stretching that left hand high to the sky. As we hold the triangle with every in-breath, breathing into your center of balance. With every exhale, sending energy out through 2 arms, 2 legs, both ends of the spine. As you make yourself bigger in space from the inside out. Connecting with your breath, with the pulsation of the universe. In our triangle pose, exploring that lateral top line, as we exhale that top hand front, turning our heart to the floor. On the inhale, lifting hand high as we spin heart to sky. And let's do this a few times. Exhale and inhale. Exhale and inhale. We're halfway done. Exhale and inhale. 2 more times. Exhale and inhale. Last one. Exhale and hold as we reach. Now the bottom hand joins. Pure side motion. We take that twist out of the torso as we breathe it on up. And exhale it over. Inhale it up. Exhale it over. Inhale it up. Exhale it over. We're halfway done. Breathing it up. Exhale it over. Inhale it up. Exhale it over. Last one here. Breathing it up. Exhale it over and hold as we reach. I'll invite you to ripple those fingers, keeping our hands supple. Go for it. And then we have choices. We can either move back to the triangle and hold, or moving towards the triangle on one foot as top hand finds the hip. We take a big step in. I'll invite you to set your base with 2 hands, lifting that back leg. Second hand opens up that shoulder, and then stretching that hand high to the sky for the half moon pose. As we hold the shape again, breathing into your center of balance, and with every breath out, sending energy out through 2 arms, 2 legs, both ends of the spine. Wherever you choose to work, breathing, watching that breath, and enjoying that reflection upon your breath. Lots of ways to come out of the shape. I'll talk Kathy through the easy way. Hand finds the hip. She'll land a short stance. Shifting the weight into the feet. She comes on up. Finding a warrior 2, lengthening the stance. And from here, I'll suggest a big windmill of the arms as she stretches out those shoulders. Back to down dog, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. And take your time. Find your flow. As we hold down dog, breathing, watching that breath, and enjoy that reflection upon your breath. from down dog. Long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between the hands, and either stepping or jumping to the front of your mat. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, fold. On the inhale, stay low. We'll come back to our chair, knees over toes, hands overhead. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. On the exhale, standing tall. I'll invite you to bring hands to heart, either keeping that light press of the palms as your weight gathers in your feet, or adding an isometric engagement as we press the palms together, elbows out to the side, shoulders engaged, a tuck of the tail, a tuck of the chin as we connect with the strength of our center. And then hands by our side. From here, hands find the hips as we shift weight to the left, angling the left foot out just a tad. Bending that left knee, we're going to bring right ankle on top of the thigh as we find our standing half lotus second side. Sitting down in an invisible chair. Hands either stay on the hips or hands find the heart. Hands either stay on the heart or we stretch those hands high. If the pose feels wobbly, try rippling those fingers. High hands come back to the heart. Hard hands come back to the hips. We'll straighten the standing leg. We'll lift this right thigh high. The toe points down for the flamingo. And either staying here or leaning a little bit forward as we lengthen through that leg. Soft point to the toe. Lifting that leg just a little higher. And then flexing the foot as we sweep the foot through, finding our warrior one prep. Heel to heel alignment. With the hands on the hips, we can steer those hips front. Now 4 fingers find the tip of the thumb, bird beak fingers, and we'll try to touch the front of the wrist as we stretch out the back of the wrist. Bringing those bird beaks onto our shoulders to square the shoulders front and relax those shoulders. Now switching the clasp of the fingers, so you're going to walk the fingers one over, and then we'll bring those clasped fingers behind the head and pressing the head into the hands, opening up heart and throat chakra, elbows wide to the side. From here, we'll stretch those hands high to the sky. From here, with the breath, inhaling, gathering up the energy as we straighten the front leg without locking the knee. On the exhale, finding your cactus arms as we rebend the knee and offer that energy out. We'll do this 6 times, breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, cactus arms. Inhaling and exhaling. We're halfway done. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling up. Exhaling back. Last one here. Breathing in. Breathing out, cactus arms, and holding. The elbows move back. The wrists come with. Feel free to ripple those fingers. Go for it. And then turning warrior 1 into warrior 2. As hands find the heart, we open up the hips to face the side. We could kick the back foot in for heel to arch alignment. And then finding one long arm, looking out over those front fingers with a steady yet relaxed gaze. From here, I'll invite you to paint rainbows. Inhaling, lifting up. Exhaling back to warrior 2. Inhaling up. Exhaling back. Inhaling up. Exhaling back. We're halfway done. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Last one here. Breathing in and holding. We reach up a little higher. Back hand goes down a little further. Enjoying the stretch. Feel free to ripple those fingers. And then back to our warrior 2. From here, finding our rainbow warrior. Finding that odd clasp of the fingers behind the back. Shoulder blades back and down onto rib shelf. And then leading with the heart as we take that forward fold inside the front leg. Relax neck, heavy, heavy head. Letting any tension in the neck and shoulders drain down through the crown of the head, into the earth. Deep, full breaths. In the rainbow warrior, I'll suggest a strong tuck of the chin to stretch out the back of the neck. keeping that tuck as we bring it on up, coming back to our Warrior Two shape. From Warrior Two, transitioning to Trikonasana, thumb and forefinger find crease of hip and base of rib, deepening that crease, lengthening those ribs, grounding bottom hand down in an appropriate place. That top hand can open up top shoulder. We can stretch hand high to the sky, either looking down to the ground, off to the side, or up past those top fingers with that mixture of effort and ease. Deep full breaths. With every in-breath, finding your center of balance about a half hand below the navel. With every exhale, sending energy out through both arms, both legs, both ends of the spine. From here, exploring that lateral top line as we exhale that top hand front, turning our heart to the floor. On the inhale, lifting hand high as we spin heart to the sky. Exhaling and inhaling. Exhaling and inhaling. Exhaling and inhaling. Couple more to go here. Exhale and inhale. Last one, we'll hold as we reach. Strong through that back leg, long through the torso, the arm, the fingers, feel the stretch. Now the bottom hand joins, pure side motion. We take that twist out of the torso. We breathe two hands up and exhale it over. Breathing it up and exhale it over. Inhale it up. Exhale it over. We're halfway done. Inhale it up. Exhale it over. Breathing it up. Exhale it over. Last one here. Breathing it up. Exhale it over and hold as we reach, rippling those fingers, keeping our hands supple. And then we have a choice, either moving towards our triangle or the triangle on one foot as we bring hand to hip. We're going to set our base with two hands as we take a big step in. Lifting that back leg any amount. Now right hand can open up that right shoulder. We can stretch that right hand high to the sky as we hold the float. And if you fall, no big deal.
It's just the heat.
Oh, yeah, turn that heat off. No worries. As we hold the shape, breathing into your center of balance. Breathing out from that place with your breath, connecting the center of yourself to the periphery of the universe. We'll come down easily here. Hand finds the hip. We'll land a short stance, shifting the weight into the feet as we come on up. Lengthening the stance as we find our Warrior Two. And then I'll suggest a big windmill of the arms as we stretch out those shoulders, coming back to our down dog, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. Let your breath make the call. Whatever pose you choose, coming back to that even breath, watching that breath as it flows in and out, and enjoying that reflection upon your breath. From down dog, I'll invite you to come forward to plank pose and holding the plank for 2 or 3 breaths. Feeling that connection between your head, your hips, and your heels. From the plank, yoga style, elbows shave ribs, feel free to use the knees or not. A long, slow push-up all the way down. When we get down, I'll suggest a cross of the forearms. Let your forehead be heavy on those forearms as we rest and relax, connecting with our breath as we breathe. Great place to connect with the breath. We've restricted the movement of the diaphragm by being on our belly, so our bodies have no choice but to rise and fall as we breathe, almost like being on a surfboard or a pool float. From here, let's move towards the Sphinx pose. Elbows under shoulders, spreading those fingers wide, shoulder blades back and down as we deepen the back of the heart. As we hold the shape, I'll invite you to rock from hip point to hip point, warming up your low back. Now adding a little dipping of the shoulders as we connect upper and lower back. Now adding a swing of the head as we connect the crown of our head to the base of our spine. And then back to center. Ears in line with shoulders, ears and shoulders in line with hips. From here, moving towards the forearm plank as we tuck the toes to lift the thighs, drawing the navel in and up, and then reconnecting the head, the hips, and the heels. Stretching out the fascia of our feet and testing out the integrity of our center, I'll invite you to rock to the tips of the toes and then back to the base. Finding the tips and back to base. Tips and base. Halfway done, tips and base. Last two, tips and base. Finding the tips and holding. Breath in, breath out. Now back to the base and holding. Breath in, breath out. And then landing the knees, unfurling the feet, landing those hips, pulling back with the hands to lengthen front heart. And then finding the other cross of the forearms as we rest and relax on the floor, reconnecting with the breath. From our crocodile pose, I'll invite you to find our rocking horse push-up. As we bring hands under shoulders, we ground down through the chin. Tucking the toes, the knees stay down. We'll lift the hips up for the inchworm. And then we want to keep the hips lifting the whole time as we push hard into the hands to lift up back heart. And then stretching it back to a child's pose as we nestle our belly inside our thighs. I'll suggest arms in extension, forehead heavy on the mat or the floor. As we hold this child's pose, finding that belly to inner thigh connection. Every time you breathe in, letting your belly massage your thighs. Every time you breathe out, letting your thighs massage your belly as you connect with a big ball of warmth in the very center of yourself. Now in the child's pose, keeping hips and heels just as they are, we'll find a side bend as we walk our hands to one side. Stretching far hip to far heel. Now walking hands through center and finding that side bend the other way. Stretching other hip to other heel. Now walking hands center, coming back to an all fours position. I'll go sideways here. You all stay facing front. And let's work the cat-dog stretch here. Breathing in, lifting chin and tail. Breathing out, tucking toes, tucking tail, tucking chin as we round it in. Couple more times like this. Breathing in, lifting it up. Exhaling, rounding it in. Inhaling, lifting up. Exhaling, rounding it in. Let's throw child's pose into the mix. Breathing in, lifting up. Big toes touch, sits bones back to the heels as we round the spine, tucking tail and chin. Inhaling, arcing the back. On the exhale, drawing it back as we round. One more time like this. Breathing in, lifting it up. Exhaling, drawing it back. We'll add side to side. Breathing in, coming up center. And then rounding the spine as you take it back to one heel. Inhaling, coming up center, and then finding that other heel. Two more times each way, breathing in and breathing out. Inhaling, finding center. On the exhale, back to that second heel. One more time each side, inhaling. Exhaling, drawing it back. Inhaling, lifting up. Exhaling, drawing it back. Let's throw a figure eight into the mix. Breathing in, coming up center. Drawing it back to first heel. Keep the hips low, finding second heel. Up on the other diagonal, shifting shoulders and hips and back to first heel. Inhaling. Exhaling, drawing it back. One more time this direction. Inhale. Exhaling, drawing it back. Now I'm going to take it on the other diagonal. Inhaling up. Shifting shoulders and hips and back to second heel. Two more times, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, drawing it back. And then back to an all fours position. I'll invite you to walk the hands just a tad front. Elbows a little bit behind the wrists.
shoulders a little bit behind the elbows. Getting to our down dog shape with the cat dog stretch. Breathing in, lifting chin and tail. And then tucking the toes, lifting the knees, tailbone high, high, high. And then finding your neutral spine as you push into the hands to stretch those heels down. As we hold this down dog, I'll invite you to walk the dog as you bend one leg deeply and then the other, stretching it out. And either keep walking the dog from side to side, or if you want to generate more tapasar heat, cycling through vinyasa. Yogi's choice. From our down dog shape, flow style, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, finding a three-legged dog, right leg high to the sky. High on the left toes. Keeping that right shoulder just as it is, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that top leg, opening up that hip. Moving towards a swan pose here, looking between the hands, sweeping that right knee towards right wrist. I'll suggest keeping the knee joint closed, walking that left foot back, and then unfurling the foot to stabilize the shape. Finding the tips of 10 fingers. As we set those shoulder blades back and down, open heart, open throat, and then leading with the heart, spidering those fingers front, more length in the spine, not less. And then when you can't go any further, I'll suggest relaxing the pose as you pace the palms down and let your forehead be heavy on the floor. As we hold the shape, I'll invite you to bring your mind to your hips and stretching the hips away from the midline. They're actually going to move, but you'll find more space in the very center of yourself. The sleeping swan. From the sleeping swan, I'll invite you to walk your hands back and then finding a perpendicular form on the bent knee side of fangs. Other hand out to the side, and then pulling back with that forearm to turn your heart towards that outrigger hand, giving your low back the exact right amount of stretch that's right and good for it this morning. Now coming back center, finding the other perpendicular form, the other outrigger hand, and pulling back with that form to give your low back the exact right amount of stretch that's right and good for it this morning. Now coming back center, finding the tips of 10 fingers as we set those shoulder blades back and down. You want to lift everything up, starting from the pelvic floor to fly the swan as we stretch those hands high to the sky. Connecting root chakra with second and third chakra. I'll invite you to open up fifth chakra as you lift the chin to look up between those hands. And then spinning the palms out, grounding down through those hands, tucking the back toes, lifting that bent knee up, keeping the knee joint closed as we come back to a bent knee, three-legged dog. And then very carefully opening up that leg. I'll suggest give the leg a little shake, shaking out any congestion in that knee. And then grounding on down, finding your down dog shape. I'll suggest either walking the dog or walking the dog and then throwing in vinyasa, really up to you. Again, take your time, find your flow, follow your breath. From down dog, second side. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart, left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Keeping that left shoulder just as it is, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that top leg, opening up that hip. And then sweeping that left knee to left wrist as we move towards the swan pose. Scooting that right foot back as we settle the hips on down. Unfurling that back foot to stabilize the shape. Finding the tips of 10 fingers as we set those shoulder blades back and down. Leading with the heart, more length in the spine as you spider those fingers front. Take your time. Let it be all about the process. And then when you can't find any more length in the spine, letting the pose soften as you pace the palms down and heavy the forehead into the floor. Yeah, you could always cross the forearms if you want a little more lift. You can also find a pair of soft fists. As we hold the sleeping swan, putting your mind in your hips and stretching your hips away from the midpoint. They're not going to move, but that engagement will enable you to stretch out some very subtle muscles that don't often get the attention that they want. From arms and extension, I'll invite you to walk the hands back, find a perpendicular forearm on the bent knee side of things, and then the other hand out to the side, and then pulling back with that forearm as we give our low back the exact right amount of stretch that's right and good for it this morning. Noticing any differences on this side. And then coming back center, finding the other perpendicular forearm, the other outrigger hand, and then pulling back with that forearm to give yourself the exact right amount of stretch that's right and good for you. Always being very cognizant of that feedback loop between our action and our intention. Now coming back center, finding the tips of 10 fingers as we set those shoulder blades back and down. And then we're going to lift everything up as we float those hands high to the sky for the flying swan. Beautiful. Yeah. There's lots of ways we can hold the palms facing in. Kathy likes to work her shoulders as she rotates palms in and out. A little lift at the chin, a little smile on the face. Go for it. And then spinning the palms out, grounding on down as we tuck those back toes. Finding your three-legged dog, keeping the knee joint closed, at least initially. And then carefully opening up that knee, maybe give it a little bit of a shake. And then grounding on down as we find our down dog shape. Also just walking the dog as you bend one leg deeply and then the other, just stretching it out. And either keep doing this for a few breaths or cycling through vinyasa as you find yoga push-up. Inhaling into up dog or cobra. And then tucking the toes as you roll over the knees, finding your down dog shape. Deep focus. From down dog shape, I'll invite you to come to a child's pose as we nestle our belly inside our thighs. This time with a cross of the forearms and just letting yourself be super, super heavy as we rest and relax on the floor. From this child's pose, I'll invite you to bring your feet off to one side, finding two long legs in front. Let's do some roll downs and roll ups. Let me go sideways here, and we'll move between tall spine and C-spine. We start from tall spine, back of the head's in line with the sacrum, also known as neutral spine. From here, we'll find C-spine as we tuck tail and chin, and we slowly roll ourselves down. On the inhale, full body stretch, arms by the ears, not too low. We want to keep the ribs soft and drawing in. Breathing in as we point fingers and toes. On the exhale, flexing hands and feet as we roll ourselves up. Take a breath to sit tall, tall spine. On the exhale, C-spine as we reach. Inhale, tall spine. Exhaling, C-spine as we roll ourselves down. Inhaling, full body stretch, low back lifts. On the exhale, pressing the back into the mat as we roll ourselves up. Inhale, tall spine. Exhale, C-spine. Inhale, tall spine. Exhaling, rolling ourselves down. Inhale, full body stretch. We have one more to go here. Exhaling, rolling it up. Inhale, tall spine. Exhale, C-spine. Inhale, tall spine. And then on the exhale, just draping yourself over those legs as we relax our shoulders for a big breath in through the nose. I'll invite you to let it spill out through the mouth. Breath in through the nose. Let it spill out through the mouth. One more like that. Breath in through the nose. Let it spill out through the mouth. From here, let's come down onto our backs, starting from tall spine, tucking tail and chin as we slowly roll ourselves down. Inhale, full body stretch. And then sweeping hands by your side, widening the thighs, scooting the head back as we flatten the shoulders, finding our Shavasana, doing whatever else feels right and good for you this morning. Tip of the tongue is now neutral in the mouth, a slight part to the lips, but still breathing in and out through your nose. And we'll be here in about 40 seconds. I'm going to ring these yoga bells 3 times. I invite you to move your minds before you move your bodies. Bring your attention back to your breath, watching as it flows in and watching as it flows out, like watching a river as the river flows by. To this watching of your breath, I'll invite you to add shape to your breath as you shape a long, slow inhalation, matched by an even longer, slower exhalation. So varying that ratio between the inhale and the exhale as we find a more relaxing breath. Long, smooth breaths in. Longer, smoother, slower breaths out. Keeping this more relaxing breath, inviting circulation into our bodies as we gently ripple fingers and toes. Inviting that circulation in towards center as we gently circle the wrists and the ankles. I'll invite you to add a little shimmy of the shoulders, a little shake of the hips, whatever feels right and good for you this morning. Now drawing your knees into your heart as we find Apanasana, hands catch the shins. And then using your thighs to massage your low belly as you gently lift and lower the low back and hips. Any other movement that feels right and good for you, side to side, one leg and then the other. Let it be all about your practice, whatever your body wants and desires. From here, I'll invite you to reach back with your hands to catch the back of the head, to lift and tuck the chin. Hands catch the shins. We're going to start to roll ourselves front to back, back to front, massaging out our spine until we pop up to find a cross-legged sit. As we sit, grounded down through our sits bones, I'll invite you to bring the heels of your hands to your thighs, pushing the thighs away as we sit up a little straighter, a little taller. 5 fingers of one hand find the ground. The palm of the other hand faces the sky. A slight tuck of the chin, coming back to that place where we started our practice, just watching as our breath flows in and as our breath flows out. From this place of breath awareness, I invite you to bring your hands to your heart and bow as you thank yourselves for practicing yoga. The light within me honors and respects the light within you, and in this light, we are one. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you all for practicing with us. Thank you, Kathy, for practicing with me. And we'll see you all real soon. If you're in the city and you have Bay Club access, I'm teaching on the roof. I'm also teaching in the pavilion down at Gateway, and I'd love to see you live and in person. Otherwise, we'll commune this way. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.